G'day, welcome to the Tech Math channel. What we're going to be having a look at in this video is the easiest way to solve any question involving fractions, be they addition questions, subtraction questions, multiplication questions, or division questions. And we are going to go through and have a look at all of these. There's going to be a bit to go through, so please bear with us, but these are going to be the easiest way of solving any questions involving fractions. So we're going to start with addition questions. There's going to be about three types of questions you'll get with these. The first is where we have the same denominator. Questions like this one here. Say, for instance, you are asking to add 1/5 plus 2/5. Now, what you're going to notice straight away is that we have the same bottom number, the same denominator. If this is the case, what we do for our answer is we keep that same denominator. So in this case, the denominator is 5. For our answer, the denominator will also be 5. Now, for the numerator, the top number, all we do is we just go through and add. 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. And that's how you add fractions with like denominators, with the same denominator. Keep that denominator in your answer and just add the numerators, add those top numbers together. But what about where we have different denominators? A question like this one here. Say we had 1/4 and to this we wanted to add 2/3. Now the easiest way to do this is we're going to find a common denominator between the 4 and the 3 here. We have two different denominators and we're going to find a common denominator. The easiest way to do that is through a bit of multiplication. First thing we do is we're going to multiply these denominators together. So 4 times 3, that gives us the answer of 12. That gives us the denominator of our answer, which is 12. Now what we're going to do is, starting at the top left here, we're going to multiply by the bottom right of these fractions here. So 1 multiplied by 3. 1 multiplied by 3 is equal to 3. What you're going to notice is we've multiplied the 4 by 3 and the 3 by 3, so we've kept these fractions equivalent. Now what we're going to do is, moving over to the right here, we're going to start with the top right number here, the 2, and multiply it by the bottom left number here. 2 multiplied by 4 is equal to 8. Once again, this just keeps the fractions equivalent. We're adding, so we're just going to go 3 plus 8. This gives us our answer, 11 over 12. Now, that's a second type of question. What about we have a look at a third type of question? And that's this one here, where we have mixed numbers. Something like 1.5 plus 4 and 2/3. How we would go through and solve this. Now, the way we do this is fairly simple. We're going to just turn these mixed numbers into improper fractions. That is, just where they're simply fractions, but this is going to be a bigger number than the bottom number. You'll see what I mean. So let's do this. The way we do this is as follows. We're going to keep the same bottom numbers, the same denominators here. So we're going to have a 2 and we're going to have a 3. All right, and we're going to be adding still. But what's going to go on the top? Well, we get this as follows. First off, we're going to multiply the whole number by the denominator. We have 1 times 2, which is equal to 2, and then we add that numerator. So 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is equal to 3. So we have 3 halves in 1.5. Now for 4 and 2/3, we do the same process. 4 times 3 is equal to 12, plus 2 is equal to 14. There you go. We have 14/3 altogether. Now what we're going to do is we're simply going to go through and do the same process we did for this second fraction set here. So let's do that. First off, we had 2 times 3. This gives us the denominator. 2 3s are 6. Now what we do is we're going to multiply 3 by 3 to give us 9, and we have 14 times 2, which gives us 28. We're adding, so let's add those together. 9 plus 28 gives us 37. So we have 37/6 as our answer. But don't ever just leave this answer like this, or your math teacher will be really annoyed at you. They're going to ask you to simplify this further. Now, how do we simplify this? Simple. This means 37 divided by 6. Any fraction, even if it's this one here, means 3 divided by 5, 11 divided by 12. And this one means 37 divided by 6. So let's just do that. 37 divided by 6. Well, 6 6s are 36, so the answer is going to be 6, and there is 1 left over. This 1 goes over that 6 there, that same denominator there. Cool, that's how you go through and you add any fraction together. Now you can probably guess how to subtract, because it's a very similar process. So let's have a look. So when we're subtracting fractions, the process is very similar to addition. We're going to start off with a nice easy question. Say 7 over 8 minus 1 over 8. You should be able to get that one straight away. What do you think it is? You've got it. 7 minus 1 is 6, and that bottom number, the denominator stays the same. It's 6/8. We can simplify this a bit further because we look for a number that goes into both the top and the bottom. 2 goes into both the top and the bottom. So 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3, and 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4. That's just a simplified version, equivalent version of 6/8. What about if we have a different denominator? Say we have something like this. Say we have 4/5, and from this I want to subtract 1/3. Okay, I think you can guess how we're going to do this. To get the bottom number, we multiply. 5 times 3 is equal to 15. Now we do that cross multiplication, the cross working out. 4 times 3 is equal to 12. 1 times 5 is equal to 5. We are subtracting. 12 subtract 5, our answer is 7. Really simple, right? Okay, what about the mixed number here? So say we have something like, let's go 3 and 1/3, and from this I wish to subtract, let's go 2 and 1/4 and see how this goes. So with this, the first thing we're going to do is turn these mixed numbers into improper fractions, the same way as before. This is going to be a number over 3, and this is going to be a number over 4, and we are going to be subtracting. So let's do that. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Now what we're going to do is that same cross fractiony sort of thing that we did over here. Okay, so let's do that. 3 times 4 is equal to 12. And now we're going to do this bit of working out. 10 times 4 is equal to 40. 3 times 9 is equal to 27. We're subtracting. 40 take away 27 is equal to 13. All right, can we leave it like that? You've got it. This is an improper fraction. We're going to have to change it. So let's do that. 13 divided by 12 is equal to 1, and there's 1 left over. That's 1 over 12. Cool. Now let's have a look at multiplying fractions. All right, so multiplying fractions is nice and easy. I think it's the easiest operation you can do with fractions. I remember as a kid, my brother told me this, and it's always stuck with me and always helped me when I was trying to remember how to multiply fractions. He told me when I was very little, I wasn't at school yet, that a half multiplied by a half is equal to 1/4. Now, I always thought that was a little bit strange. You know, how did you multiply by something and get a smaller number? All right, novelty value aside, it did help me to remember this, and it makes perfect sense because what's 1/2 of a half? Another way of thinking of this, a half of a half. Well, if you think of that with a pizza, for instance, or a pie, you cut that in half. You have half a pizza, and then half of that is 1/4 of a pizza, right? All up, we have 1/4. A half of a half is equal to a quarter. All right, so the way that we do this is not just to remember my little childhood stories. Just have a look at this. 1 multiplied by 1 is equal to 1. 2 multiplied by 2 is equal to 4. Top by the top, bottom by the bottom, got your answer. Happy days. So let me give you a harder question here. So say, for instance, we wanted to go, what's 3/4 multiplied by 1/3? Okay, nice and simple. 3 times 1 is equal to 3. 4 times 3 is equal to 12. Now, that's our answer, but we can simplify this further into an equivalent fraction that's a bit smaller because there's a 3 that goes into both the top and the bottom. Divide by 3, divide by 3, we get 1 over 4. Our answer is 1/4. Cool. Now, just one last thing. What do we do if we have a whole number? Well, if we have a mixed number before, we do the same like we did before. There's nothing major there, but I'll in particular want to show you something like this. Say, for instance, I wanted to know what half multiplied by 7 was. Now, the easiest way to deal with this is as follows. We're going to keep that half the same, and we're multiplying by this 7, which we're going to turn into a fraction. Now, this as a fraction is equal to 7 over 1. All right, makes sense, because 7 divided by 1 is equal to 7. All right, this is 7 as a fraction. Now we can go through and solve this really easy, right? 1 times 7 is 7. 2 times 1 is equal to 2. We can simplify this. 7 divided by 2 is equal to 3. And there's 1 left over. That's 3.5. What's half of 7? Well, of course, it's 3.5, right? Hey. All right, so now let's go have a look at division. So now we're going to have a look at dividing fractions. And these are really easy to do as long as you remember that division is the opposite of multiplication. Now, multiplication was pretty easy. So there's just one extra step we need to do to turn it into the opposite. So let's do that. First off, let's get a question up here. We have something like this one here, 3/4, and I want to divide into this 1/2. I want to see how many halves are in 3/4. All right, so as I said, the opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to rewrite this out a little bit. 3/4, and we're going to be multiplying. But we're not going to be multiplying by a half. We're going to be multiplying by the opposite of a half. Now, the opposite of a half, well, if you get this whole fraction here and you flip it on its head, if you flip these around, you get the opposite of 1/2. You have 2/1. Okay, now we've just turned it into a nice, easy multiplication. So let's do that. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. 4 times 1 is equal to 4. We have 6/4, which is equal to, that's 1 and 2 left over, 2/4. And we can simplify this further because 2 goes into both the top and the bottom. This is equal to 1.5. Simple, right? Now, what do we do if we have a whole number here? Well, no surprise here. Say I wanted to go, what is 4/5, and I want to divide that by 6. Okay? What would that equal? We're just going to do that same process here. We have 4/5, and this is divided by 6/1. Now, we don't want to be dividing. We want to do a bit of multiplication here, so let's just change this around. We have 4/5, and we're going to multiply by 1/6. So let's do that. Now, what we have is 4 times 1 is equal to 4, and 5 times 6 is equal to 30. And we can simplify this because 2 goes into both the top and the bottom. We have 2/15. And there is our answer. That's how you go through and you divide with fractions. Anyway, that's the 4 operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division as they go with fractions. Now, I hope that was of some help. If it was, please remember, write something lovely in the comments and leave us a thumbs up. If it wasn't, write something less lovely in the comments and still go through and give us a thumbs up. If you wish to support the Tech Math channel, well, that's greatly appreciated. You can do that just by leaving a comment or even just saying something nice and leaving a thumbs up. But you can also become a patron if you wish. There is a link in the description if you wish to support the Tech Math channel. A big shout out to my patrons. Your support is always greatly appreciated. Anyway, that is that, and that is all. I will see you next time. Bye.